Now that Aquaman is here, the time has come to rank all 6 DCEU movies worst to best. How would you rank these movies? Let's talk about it in the comments. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and I'm a DC. Yes, I am a huge DC fan. I love DC. I love these characters. I love the mythology and the stories behind these characters. I love DC. Have I been up and down with the DCEU? Oh yes. Yes, I have definitely been up and down. But I'm excited for any and all excuses to dive more into these movies. And I'm going to rank these 6 DCEU movies worst to best. How would you rank them? Let's talk about it in the comments. Number 6, Suicide Squad. I just don't like this movie. I don't. And I bought it, which was kind of a mistake because I haven't really watched it since I bought it. I bought it because it had this extended edition, and I thought, okay, I remember the Ultimate Cut helped out BVS a lot for me, so perhaps that'll help me with this. It made it worse. It just felt like it was shoving even more information at me that just didn't really work because it just felt like it was a huge editing mess. I feel like that every time I watch the movie. It feels like a huge mess when I watch it. So it's just, I even did this experiment. How would my views change with the DCEU if I watched it in chronological order? And when it came time for Suicide Squad, I skipped it. I just couldn't do it. So now that you kind of heard kind of my negatives about it, because it feels like a rushed movie, it feels like a reactionary movie, it feels like, oh, they didn't like BVS and we already have Suicide Squad done. Quick, re-edit and reshoot a bunch of stuff and just copy paste. Come on, we gotta make it funny. Yeah, so I definitely have some of my problems with Suicide Squad, but here are my positives, because I do want to end it on a positive note. Will Smith and Margot Robbie are my 2 greatest positives with this movie. I did love Deadshot. I thought Will Smith did a fantastic job in that role, made me more interested in that character, and interested to see this character in the DCEU, and I'd love to see him go up against Batman, the world's greatest assassin against the world's greatest detective. Yeah, I want to see that, and I like Will Smith's portrayal, but Margot Robbie just outshined everybody in this movie. If there's any character in this movie that makes it worth rewatching, it's Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She embodied that character. She did an amazing job as that character. It just harkened right back to Batman the Animated Series where she first premiered in DC. I mean, she did such an amazing job with that role that I definitely want Harley Quinn to have a future in the DCEU. And you know what's sad? I want her to have more of a future than I want the Jared Leto Joker to have more of a future. I mean, I would rather see the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, who I haven't even seen yet, join the DCEU as a soft little Joker reboot. And it's not that I think Jared Leto's Joker was terrible, but I think it was not good. I don't know. I feel like I didn't get enough of the Joker to get to know him that well, but every time I think about it, I go, yeah, no, he's definitely just not my favorite Joker portrayal. But Harley Quinn was amazing. Number 5, Justice League. Every time I watch this movie, it just hurts. It hurts because I want this movie to be infinitely better than what it is. It hurts because the first time I saw this movie on the big screen, I enjoyed it. But every time I've watched it since then, I've liked it less and less and less. It's because like more of the flaws and the weird tones, like it was always present to me, but it gets ever more present. Like Henry Cavill's mustache that they covered up on his upper lip, it's always been noticeable. But every time I watch it, it like yells at me, Durbin, we could have been so much better, but they couldn't even let Henry Cavill shave and push the movie date back. Help! It's a sign to me that this movie was once a 2-parter. And then, in a reactionary movement, they made it a 1-parter while they were still filming. And then they said, I gotta make it under 2 hours. And then Zack Snyder had a tragedy in the family and had to leave the project, and Joss Whedon took it over. And I like Zack Snyder and I like Joss Whedon. I like both of their bodies of work. But then to have this weird clash in the movie, and it wasn't Whedon's fault, it wasn't Snyder's fault, it was just, it didn't work. I'm watching it and it feels like a quilt patched up badly. That's what it feels like when I'm watching this movie. It just didn't have the proper flow. It didn't have the proper tone. I like this cast of characters playing these heroes. I thought they did excellent portrayals of the heroes, and I thought they worked well together on screen. And that was like the best part of Justice League for me. I do feel like there's still hope. I like Justice League enough, and I think that they could still build from it, especially with the release of Aquaman and things like that. It's like you can see that there is a hope and a future here, and I don't think things should be hard rebooted or soft rebooted. It's like, no, just keep going forward. Just keep going forward and keep getting better. Keep getting your feet under you. Spend time with these characters. You'll get it. Like, I don't think it's like that terrible of a movie, but every time I watch it, it hurts. Number 4, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. You know what creates a tornado? It's like a warm front and a cold front, boom, hitting, and it makes a tornado. I talk about a tornado because every time I watch BVS, there is a tornado inside of me because of 2 fronts that are colliding. There's one front that really likes this movie and likes a lot of things in this movie. I love Henry Cavill's Superman. He's a great Superman. And I liked Ben Affleck's portrayal of Batman. I didn't like that Batman killed, so I felt like I'm missing an entire character arc of Batman here, and now he's killing. I don't like that. So that's part of the negative front that's coming in against the positive front. But then I love the warehouse scene. I did like it when Superman and Batman were fighting each other. Like, there's so much about this movie that is so good, and so there's this positive front that comes in. Then, like I said, there's Batman that kills, and that's the negative front. Then there's Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. And I get it. He's not the Lex Luthor. He's Lex Luthor Jr. I still don't like this portrayal of Lex Luthor. I'm not trying to crack on Jesse Eisenberg's acting. I'm just saying what he brought to this role and the way this character was interpreted did not work for me at all. And I know we want to explore characters and do new things with them. I get it. I'm not opposed to that. But my gosh, that just was not Lex Luthor at all whatsoever to me. And it just did not work. It didn't mesh. Something about it just did not fit in this film for me, and I didn't like that. And then you got the whole thing where it's like, okay, I feel like they're rushing because Superman, Batman were doing that already by the second Superman film. Okay, whatever. Shoved in Wonder Woman. Oh, well, she did sort of steal a show in every scene she was in, but it feels kind of rushed. Then we kill Superman. The Death of Superman animated movie. It's a reminder as to why the Doomsday storyline and the Death of Superman storyline is classic and should never be rushed. It is something that gets built to like Thanos' snap. That's what that moment is like, the Death of Superman. And I felt like they just pulled the trigger on that way too soon. And so one of the most classic Superman storylines was completely rushed. So that's my positive front, that's my negative front. And every time I watch this movie, there's a freaking tornado inside. And I'm talking about the ultimate cut. I don't know where they got the idea they could cut what they cut for the theatrical cut. You watch the ultimate cut and it kind of smooths some things out. It doesn't cure all the problems for sure, but it makes sense out of a lot of other things. And it's like, who in their right mind decided to cut that stuff for the theatrical version? Number 3, Aquaman. I've talked about this movie a ton. I don't have a lot more to say. I thought this movie was extremely fun. It was well done in my opinion. And it's one of those fun movies I could watch again and again and again. It's a little bit hokey in some places, but overall, I loved the epic fantasy quest story feel that this movie had. I loved Jason Momoa as Aquaman. He brought that character to life and brought a fresh charisma to that character that now Aquaman, who I never took seriously, I take seriously. I love the world that they built in this movie, and I just thought it was really good. Number 2, Man of Steel. Yeah, I'm biased. I love Superman. He's my favorite hero. But I did like this movie. Do I have my wish list with it? Of course I have a wish list with it. I do wish that when he was learning to fly for the first time and he had all that joy in his face, I wish he just started saving people right then and there. That would have spoke volumes to his character, that he spent his life kind of growing up in fear, growing up in the fear of revealing himself to the world. But now that he's found all this joy in flying and that he's supposed to be a bridge of hope between two peoples, so he starts to act on that mission and starts to save people, would have been interesting. Because then when Zod shows up and the world is afraid of Superman, Zod could have used that against him to be like, this is why we need to recreate Krypton. This world doesn't accept you. So yeah, that feels kind of like a missed opportunity, but as a whole, I just feel like Man of Steel worked for me. I loved Henry Cavill as Superman. I loved the story buildup of him discovering himself and discovering his calling and stepping out of fear and stepping into the light. I loved the action. The Smallville fight scene was incredible. And yeah, I'm one of those crazy people that loves the Metropolis fight scene. I don't have a problem with them fighting in the city. You do realize, right, that half the destruction in Metropolis was there before Superman and Zod even were fist fighting at all? It was there because Superman was over the Indian Ocean trying to destroy the world engine on the other side of the world because nobody else was there that could do it. So he had to destroy that so that they could destroy the world engine on our side, and it was the world engine on our side that was destroying Metropolis. By the time he got there, he was fighting in a dank hole of a lot of people that were already dead. Sorry, I just got really passionate about that. Wow. But anyway, I like Man of Steel. I think it's a solid film, and it's a good 21st century Superman movie, so I do enjoy it. Number 1, Wonder Woman. This one is still my favorite, because you know how I talked about Superman, you know, being joyous and flying, and then from there they should have made him joyous and saving people? I feel like that's what Wonder Woman was. So that was the missing element from Man of Steel, and they had it in Wonder Woman. And so Wonder Woman is a dark, dank, gritty world during World War I. But she was bright and vibrant because of the hope that was alive in her heart. Sure, it definitely looks a little bit like Thor in the beginning meets Captain America, the first Avenger, as she's out there in the trenches fighting and stuff. Yes, it does have a little bit of that. But it was different enough for me that I didn't sit there and compare it that way the whole time I was watching the movie. I really did enjoy this movie for what it was. And I like Gal Gadot. I mean, yeah, she might be a little stiff in some of her performance in this, but I don't care. I think she did a great job with the role. She did a great job showing the wisdom that she had, coupled with the naivete of never being in this world. She did a great job, like, portraying a woman jumping out of her skin to try to help people, and everybody like, no, we can't do anything here. We have a mission, we gotta keep going. And finally, she just takes no man's land because she's like, no, I'm here to help people. And that's what she does. She steps out and she takes no man's land, and it makes that moment so incredibly powerful. So Wonder Woman, I think, stays at my number 1 just because, like, the stuff that I really would like to have seen and embodied in Kal-El and Man of Steel was embodied really well in Wonder Woman in this movie. And they just did a great job with it overall. Like, it was just a powerful movie. It drew me in. It held on to me. It's one of those movies that I could keep watching, and I still enjoy it every time I watch it. So Wonder Woman is number 1. What did you think of these 6 DCEU films? How would you rank these worst to best? And while you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next ranking video, movie review, theological analysis, trailer reaction, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.